We need to talk about Thunderbolts. I just came home from watching Thunderbolts in the cinema, and damn, it's so fresh on my mind. I immediately have to talk about all the things that are on my mind. So, this is gonna be a really unstructured and random video. I'm really excited. My makeup looks awful. I've cried in the cinema, but my mascara is waterproof, so don't worry. By the way, I'm way too aware about the fact that this is the same outfit I've worn in my first video. I swear I have more than one top. I did record the previous video 1.5 weeks ago, so give me, cut me some slacks. But alas, let's start. I want to really quickly summarize the movie, everything that I remember. So if you haven't seen the movie, you don't want spoilers, don't watch this video. Maybe just, I don't know, like it so you can remember to watch it later on if you've, for the moment when you've finally seen Thunderbolts, or let yourself be spoilered, I don't know, but I'm gonna summarize it for you real quick. So from what I remember, the movie starts off with Valentina, we know her from previous movies, kind of being in front of a jury. It's about her impeachment, and she's like, don't worry, you can all dig in my dirt because I don't have a lot. She does have a lot of dirt, and the dirt is literally all of the agents she has, like Yelena, like John Walker, Ava, that we all know from previous movies, and the Taskmasters, so on, so on. So she sends them all into a warehouse to kill them off. And that is where they kill the Taskmaster. Taskmaster. It's midnight. Cut me some slacks. But yeah, they kill the Taskmaster. Something I want to talk about. Yeah, they meet Bob. Bob's just there. No one knows why he's there. Bob doesn't know why he's there, but he's really cute. He's a good character. I like him. And they all figure out that, hey, we're all sent here by Valentina to murder each other, so I think this is a trap. It's indeed a trap. Valentina wanted to kill them all. And they managed to kind of flee. The warehouse or whatever it is that they're in is kind of a maze, so they try to kind of help each other out there. They managed to get out. Bob has powers. Like, they figure out that Bob was part of an experiment and he has powers now, and Bob is secured by Valentina and her group of people. The other three get out. Alexei, Yelena's father, helps them out. Then Bucky comes along because he was previously working for Valentina, but he wants her to be impeached, so he tries to work with them. Bucky captures the four of them, and then they all figure out, okay, the real threat is Bob, but he's not really a threat because they have kind of befriended him previously, especially Yelena. She has bonded with him on a really deep level when it comes to feeling depressed in certain stages of life. So Bucky and the other four try to help Bob or try to free Bob. But in the meantime, Valentina has kind of brainwashed is not the right word, but she has talked Bob into becoming Sentry, which is what he was supposed to become in the first place, because she had this big Sentry project where they were infusing people with certain liquids. In the comics, it's a super serum liquid. I don't quite remember if it was explained in the movie, but he's the only one who survived, and they said that he's a really dangerous person to have survived and to obtain this power because he is struggling with depression and certain other mental illnesses that were not specified. So yeah, Bob then obtains his powers. He works for Valentina, but really quickly Sentry takes over, which is the Void. It's called the Void, but it's basically explained that his powers have like an own consciousness. You could kind of compare it to bipolar disorder. One of my friends compared that, and I thought it was actually a good comparison. And as I already mentioned, the Void takes over and kind of shadows away all the people on the streets. He shadows away Yelena, and she's in this kind of shadow dimension where she has to relive her worst nightmare, like a trauma that happened to her in the past. And the other people of the Thunderbolts all get into this nightmare as well to help her out. All of them find Bob. That's not the correct order, sorry. Yelena finds Bob first after she has fought through her nightmares, through her traumas alone, and then all of the others find the two of them, right? And Bob is actually this really sweet person who's really just struggling with a traumatic past. So they all help him push through the different rooms of this nightmarish place that they're in, and they basically help him fight these inner demons that he has. And then in the very last room, there is Sentry, basically his depression and bad thoughts in one person, in one powerful person. And all the others are kind of caught, like they can't move, and Bob has to face his own nightmare personally, and then he starts to attack evil Bob, Sentry. He starts to attack Sentry after he basically voices out all of the negative things that are on Bob's mind constantly, especially the fact that he feels very alone in this world. So Bob starts to beat up Sentry, and you can see the void, the shadows slowly crawling up on Bob. Basically, it's a lot of interpretation, actually. So Yelena frees herself, and she hugs Bob and tells him, "You're not alone, I got you." And all of the other Thunderbolts also free themselves and hug him as well, and kind of get him out of those nightmarish thoughts that he is caught in. So yes, Sentry is defeated thus, and Bob kind of lost memory, and I really like that part, because you do not have to live with that. You don't have to live with that trauma. It's okay. It's too much for you. So yeah, Valentina wants to kind of polish up her image and says, "Look, this is my group of superheroes. I'm calling them the new Avengers." And the last words Yelena says to her is, "We own you now," which, you go, girl. We then have a credit scene where we can see that the different reactions to the new Avengers, newspapers with headlines like, "They're not my Avengers," or "People are happy," I don't know, something like that. And you can see a lot of merchandise, actually, about the new Avengers. Then we have another end credit scene where it is mentioned that Bucky and Sam are kind of in a feud because of the name Avengers, because apparently Sam now wants to rebuild the Avengers, but wants to fight for rights over the name, which complicated credit scene. And then we can see the ship of the Fantastic Four enter their orbit, which is pretty cool. End of my summary. I've talked so damn fast, and my phone still says that I've just talked for 9 minutes. What? Anyway, different things I want to talk about that are definitely not in a correct and structured order, but I do need to talk about them, and I really want to start with the intro because I was so damn proud of myself. I called the intro. You cannot believe it. I went to the very first screening, so a lot of people were there, and I was way too excited, and I turned to my friends and was like, "I called it. I knew," because in the previous Marvel movie, Captain America, there was no typical Marvel intro that we know, with the comics or with the movie scenes, with the previous movie scenes, and then fades into Marvel Studios. No, in Captain America, we had just black and white Marvel Studios. Really cool. I interpreted it as, a new era starting, which makes sense because it's Captain America: Brave New World, so Brave New World, But in Thunderbolts, the intro is different comic scenes from the different characters, from John Walker, from Bucky, from Yelena. So that's pretty cool, pretty awesome, actually, because in a certain sense, you could interpret it in the way that now we have all of these new comic book characters that really come to life. I mean, yes, we've had Bucky for quite some time, but they all kind of got a new role in this new world, and now we see them exist for anew in the MCU, and that's actually pretty cool because we had that in the beginning in the first Iron Man and whatever. In the phase 1, phase 2, we had the different comic book designs of the different characters that joined the MCU. We had them as an intro, and then later on they were kind of exchanged with the MCU scenes to showcase, look, we have now achieved that level of bringing the comic book characters to life, so now we don't have to use the comic book scenes, but we can use the actual movie scenes. And I think they're starting to do that too, because now we have the new Avengers, we have a new era, we have a brave new world, and it's pretty cool. So what I wanted to talk about as well was as already mentioned, this is not going to be in a structured order, so I'm so sorry. But I do want to talk about that I loved how they balanced action and just deep talk. Because we had good action scenes, we had a lot of action scenes, but not too many, we had just enough. And at the same time, it managed to balance out the deep topic that this movie kind of toppled to a certain extent. Is toppled a word? Tackled. I meant tackled. I want to correct myself. It's 1 a.m. Jesus. So now that my English is starting to give up, I will quickly continue. As I mentioned, I did cry once in the movie because, damn, the movie really tackled heavy topics about depression and mental illnesses and the struggle that you have with them, the struggle of how people deal with different things. And for example, I did love that the enemy that they had, he wasn't over the top. He actually had, I don't want to call it a weakness because it's not a weakness, but the only way to stop him was not to fight him, but to befriend him, to show him that he's not alone, because Bob, he was struggling a lot with depression, and he had a traumatic childhood that was hinted towards in a scene. And it was also mentioned briefly that he had a drug addiction because of that. And he was just a really sweet and polite character overall. You felt really sorry for him. And the only way they managed to defeat his evil self, is by making him seem that you're not alone, okay? You have people that can help you through the struggle. You have to face the struggle, but you don't have to face it alone. And that's just such a deep thing for a Marvel movie. Like, his powers were literally to know and to let people relive the worst trauma that they had in life. So we had a scene of Yelena being really emotional, telling her father, Alexei, about the fact that she just feels so alone, and it was hinted towards a drinking problem that she had. It was the topic of grief was also tackled, that she is grieving her sister, and she just feels so incredibly alone in this world. And you can just see Alexei's heart breaking, because to a certain extent he can relate. He also feels alone. He feels like he's not enough. And I don't know, it's just so good that you had, at first I didn't know why we had this certain collection of characters. I did know that all of them kind of had dirt on their shoes to a certain extent, but I didn't know that they were gonna tackle the topic of their dirt in such a deep way. They did not specify the trauma for everyone, I have to say. We do know the trauma of Yelena. Her deepest trauma was obviously the Red Room, and a girl that she once lured into a forest so she could get shot. I assume that maybe she was her friend. We can only imagine what Alexei's worst trauma is, but you know, as I said, we can imagine. We know who he is as a person, what he has possibly done, but we never had a scene where he relived his nightmare on screen. John Walker's worst nightmare, or one of the worst things, traumatic things that he had to relive, is the fact that there was a scene where his baby, because now he has a son, the fact that his son was in a crib and he was not watching his son, he was just looking at his phone through articles that talked about him being a fake Captain America and his fall down, whatever, because he was too obsessed with the fact that he once was Captain America. And you can hear his wife in the background, Olivia, go, "Are you watching our son?" And he goes like, yeah, what do you want from me? Like, being really rude, because damn. And then Olivia comes into the room and goes, you weren't even watching him, you were watching your phone. He was like, what do you even want from me? And he stands up and leaves the room, and Olivia has to care for their son alone. And then it is mentioned that Olivia has indeed left John with the son, which, yes, good thing, actually. We do not see Avas, which is a ghost. We've seen her from Ant-Man 2. She was the enemy who later on you felt sorry for, because it's really not her fault that she was suffering so much. You can only imagine her worst trauma, which was either seeing her father die and her gaining her powers, or just the pain overall that she was suffering through in all of the years that she had these uncontrollable powers. We have Bucky, and believe me, we can only imagine his worst trauma, because we've already seen so much of his trauma, specifically in the series Falcon and the Winter Soldier, where we had this flashback to him killing an innocent person who turned out to be the son of one of his friends. And Bob, obviously, we have Bob, and in his nightmare, we can see that he is in his room, childhood room, you can assume. I don't know. And you can see that his father is punching his mother. We can see that his father is abusive also towards him, or was abusive towards him. So that's also kind of showcasing his trauma. We can see him in a chicken costume attacking the other people, like Alexei. And Bob briefly mentions that he was really high on meth, which for a Marvel movie, that's cool that they tackle such a topic as well. I think tackle is my favorite word today or tonight. I don't know, you can't expect much from my vocabulary tonight. So yeah, it was really cool and really good the way they just managed to balance out the deep talk and the talks in general about how you have to kind of face your demons, and well, I don't know, the balance between the deep talk and the action. No. I do understand that they couldn't show visually all the trauma like of the other characters, so I don't really want to complain about that, because it's also a weird thing to ask. Please show me more trauma. Like, it was enough. Okay, we can only imagine what the others had to live through. I do also love the symbolism that was in the movie when it comes to depression. I can't recall every single one they had, but there was a lot. But there is a specific one that I remember, and that is when Yelena is in this nightmare, in this void, and she finds Bob in his room, you can only assume, and Bob tells her, "This is the safest room I could find." And you could see that if you look at the ground, between the cracks of the ground, you could see his father yelling at his mother and physically abusing her. And that was such a smart symbolism to a certain extent, because it was also tackling the topic that in this depression, in the bad day, during the bad days, you can feel too comfortable in this depression, in this bad feeling. Like, even if you kind of feel the safest in this environment that you know, even if the environment that you know is harmful and is just really dark for your mind, it is the one that you feel most comfortable with. So many people don't even want to stand up and fight against their downs, because they just know that it's gonna be hard and that it's gonna be a fight to stand up. And this is just kind of symbolizing the way that you can feel comfortable in feeling miserable, because you just know that a fight against all of that, the fight against your own mind, will be exhausting. It will take so much of you. And that was peak cinema, honestly. And as I already mentioned, I know I'm jumping back and forth, but I've warned you, but I just have to again emphasize how I love that the way to defeat Bob, the way to defeat Sentry, was simply just with a hug. Like, they didn't punch him in the face, they didn't destroy cities, they just hugged a man who needed a hug. And think back to all of the villains that we have previously, and think back to some of them and how some things could have changed with a singular hug. It's just, I don't know, it's crazy. Another topic I want to talk about is Marvel humor. I think if you're in the Marvel fandom, you do know what I mean with Marvel humor. But guys, I think we're healing. The humor in this movie was so perfectly balanced, because there were some scenes where you could have thought it is inappropriate to put a joke in there, but it wasn't, because now they have actually adjusted the humor to each character. We had Alexei, the goofy father of Yelena, and he was sometimes bringing inappropriate jokes in inappropriate situations, but it was okay. It was funny, because you knew that was his character. That's just the way he is. It would have been weird if he was to be quiet right now. And then we had John Walker. His humor was rather sarcastic, and he was just always like, it was fitting. It was fitting. We had Yelena's humor that was rather dry in certain situations, which was also perfectly fitting. No complaints. And all of the other small remarks, it was enough humor to make me laugh, but it wasn't too much humor to seem inappropriate. Like, seriously, 1 minute I was crying because damn, that scene where they were hugging each other, I don't know why that one made me emotional specifically. And then in the next second, I'm just laughing because someone said something that just fit into the situation, fit to the character, which Marvel humor is healing. Now, I also mentioned in the beginning in my summary that the Taskmaster died. We know the Taskmaster from the movie Black Widow. We've seen her in that movie. She was Drekov's daughter, and Natasha explained in the movie that she wanted to kill Drekov, and the only way to do that was to have his daughter walk into a room to confirm that he is there as well, and then she triggered a bomb. She made them explode. But Drekov did survive, sadly, and so did the daughter, but she was hurt really badly, so the father brainwashed her and turned her into a weapon. And in the end of Black Widow, Natasha manages to get her out of this brainwash, and the Taskmaster, I forgot her name, is like, is he dead? And Black Widow, Natasha, is like, yeah, you're free now. And we see that scene of the other Black Widows helping her up and just overall being nice to her. So that is kind of hinting towards the fact that now she can live freely. And then in the movie Thunderbolts, she's shot in the head approximately 2 minutes after she's been on screen for the first time. I think the one who shoots her is Ava, which, okay, but she's just suddenly shot in the head and then she lies there dead, and all of the other characters obviously don't care much because they didn't know her. Later, a few minutes later, I think 15 minutes later, 20 minutes, maybe half an hour later even, Ava goes, yo, by the way, I now feel kind of bad that I shot the person. And that's the first time I realized, wait, Yelena knows who the Taskmaster is. She knows who she is. Because then Yelena goes, I don't recall 100% what she said, but she basically said, well, she has done some shit too, and now she's dead, so she's free in a certain sense. And I was just in a cinema like, wasn't she free before? Like, that woman was brainwashed her whole life, and then the moment she's not brainwashed anymore, she is shot in the head, and Yelena goes, now she's free. She was free after she was freed from her brainwash. The fuck you mean? I mean, of course, she wasn't free in her head because she still had a lot of victims on her mind and a lot of dirt on her hands, but you know, it doesn't mean she's not allowed to face these struggles. Instead, she's just shot in the head. I do know that Marvel did that intentionally because Marvel also set the rumor into the world that one person of the Thunderbolts will die, and officially the Thunderbolts are the ones on the movie posters, and the Taskmaster is on the movie poster, so I don't know, they kind of did that to fool with us, but I think it's a kind of a bitter way to fool us because, I don't know, it's just weird because you have all of these emotional scenes in Black Widow with the Taskmaster, and now she's just dead. I mean, we had that scene where Natasha was fighting with her even though she was still in her brainwashed state because she didn't want to kill her, because she wanted her to finally be free from her father and live a good and free and happy life, but then she's shot in the head. And then I constantly thought that maybe she's gonna be revived or she can survive that. No, she can't. She's dead. I don't know. I think it was a bit unnecessary to bring her into the movie just to kill her off. I know why Marvel did that. It was a PR stunt, so everyone was going to go into the cinema and be like, one of them is gonna die. We know that one of them is gonna die, okay? The rumor's out there. Marvel said the rumor. And then it's just that one person who's there for 2 minutes, who was in one movie previously. I don't know, I didn't really like it. That wasn't a good stunt, but I mean, that I don't want the whole movie ruined for me just because of that, because the movie was indeed really, really cool. So yeah, I'm looking at the few notes that I wrote down after the movie. One of them is Marvel humor healed, fuck yeah. As you can see, I'm really good with my words. One thing my friend said that I should mention for my video, and I think she's absolutely correct, is the costume design. Because my friend pointed out how she thought it was interesting that the good people in a movie, not specifically good people, they have done some shit, but the ones who were presented as heroes in the movie, the Thunderbolts, she mentioned how it's interesting that the Thunderbolts, the heroes, look worn down. All of them are wearing black clothes and they look kind of dirty and just overall as if they've just been in a fight and rolling in dirt the whole day. And then we have the enemy, Sentry or Bob. I don't know, I kind of want to differentiate between them because I don't see Bob as the enemy, I see Sentry as the enemy. They're both different people. And Sentry was, before he really turned into the shadowy figure, he had this golden Sentry uniform that we know from the comics, with his blonde bleached hair, which was kind of hilarious that they actually mentioned the fact that he did bleach his hair for that. And I also think that's a really interesting point, that we have this one character who's kind of a reminder of Homelander from the series The Boys. We had him being all golden and shiny and whatever, and then we have this rugged, worn down group of people who are basically just a bunch of losers, and they're the ones helping and saving the people. So yeah, it's a good way to showcase that even the people who's done the worst things or people who have some dirt on their hands can still turn it around, you know. They don't have to be bad, okay? They can make a difference. And on the other hand, you have this person who until now didn't harm anyone actively, and he from one minute to the other could just suddenly turn into one of the strongest enemies ever. Thank you for that point, actually, my dearest friend. It was a good point to tackle. Synonym for tackle. To gear. It was an interesting point to gear. Address! It was an interesting point to address. Just in case if you haven't noticed, I literally study English at university. These are horrendous synonyms, honestly. Anyway, these have actually been all of my points that I've written down, but I just remembered another one. Let's talk about John Walker. John Walker, we've been introduced to in the series The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and he's an asshole. I hate him actively, like really, I hate him. If there are people out there who are apologists, fuck you. I accept many opinions about movies, but damn, don't be one of these people who's like, he had a rough day. Dude, his rough day destroyed lives. And don't be like, yeah, well, Bucky did that too. He was a brainwashed weapon. John Walker decided to be a dick. Sorry if you haven't seen Falcon and the Winter Soldier. John Walker was elected Captain America for like 2 days. Then he kind of got high off of it, and he illegally injected super soldier serum into himself, and as the great scientist in the first Captain America movie described, this serum supports good. So the good becomes good and the bad becomes worse. In this case, John Walker has been an arrogant asshole before, so you can only imagine what happened afterwards. His best friend was killed in the series, so he hunts the person down onto the middle of, like, I don't know, a market, the city, I don't know, pushes him down and uses the Captain America shield to behead him. Brutally. Several times. In front of a crowd. Who's filming? There were probably children in the crowd. So this man did behead someone in public. In front of probably children. Dick. His wife, Olivia. No one deserves this woman. His wife stayed with him through all of that. Because obviously he did lose the Captain America title. He did lose his position in the military. Valentina found him and went like, I can make a hero out of you. debatable. And as I already mentioned in the movie now, we can see him being a real dick, like constantly. Do you know these men who are really, really toxic and who have that alpha mentality? Everyone follow my lead, but actually they don't have a lead. They're just dumb. That's him. Like, he has so much to say, and you're constantly just looking at him. You go, why do you think you're allowed to have so much to say? Why do you feel entitled to an opinion? You're dumb. And as I already mentioned in the movie, we can see that he really neglected his child. He also started to neglect his wife, but he neglected the child. And that's when Olivia left him, which, valid. I really do love the fact that Olivia did stay with him through all the shit, through the fact that he beheaded someone in broad daylight, in public. But the moment he started to show slight signs of neglecting their child, she took the child and left him. Fuck yeah, you're a good mother. Olivia, the strongest character, seriously. She's my hero, I love her. We've seen her approximately 10 seconds in this movie and she's my hero. And I was so afraid that they were trying to kind of give him a forgiveness arc, you know, they were trying to put him into better light. Like, I don't know, he did all of that because he had a bad day. I don't know, his breakfast sucked. I don't know. They didn't try to apologize his actions. They didn't try to put him into a better light. They just took the fact that he's an asshole and they ran with it. Like, even he himself knows that he's an asshole, which, good. I want you to know that. So Marvel not giving him a redemption arc is something that I'm really proud of them for. It's almost 2 a.m. I am allowed to talk shit. The music is something I want to talk about as well, because I just want to briefly talk about it because I think that the music was really, really cool. They put a track over the emotional scenes that they reused for the emotional scenes, and at some point they played the song in the credits, and they managed to kind of combine this sad tune with the sad things that were happening in the scene so much that when I heard the song in the credits, I immediately felt sad again. So yeah, good job there too. We also had this moment when they were introduced to the public as the new Avengers. You had the Avengers theme playing in the background, kind of distorted. Not exactly the same notes. So that was also pretty cool because then it just switched to the new Avengers and suddenly we had the actual Avengers theme, which, wow, Sylvester, you did such a good job with that tune. Like, goosebumps. So what do I think about them being presented as the new Avengers? I don't know. Actually, my first reaction is kind of to reject it, but that's what we all do, don't we? Every time there is something changing, we're all like, I don't want to be that person. When I've seen them being addressed as the new Avengers, obviously my first reaction was to be like, because, I mean, you're reusing a name that has a lot of history, has a lot of emotions and past behind it for us viewers. So there are a lot of expectations on that name. I don't know how they will play that out in the future. For now, I don't really want to have an opinion about it because I do dislike it, but I don't know how they're gonna turn this around. Let's see. I think Thunderbolts would have been kind of cool, but let's go with new Avengers. Not young Avengers, that's a different group of people. I'm really worrying about my makeup look. Oh my god. Can you see my pimples? Anyway, no, don't look at them now. Oh my god. I made you aware. I'm so afraid I don't want to end the video because I think there's something I need to talk about. Like, every singular second I remember something new. Oh, I want to talk about the end credit scene really briefly too, because the end credit scene was long as shit. And additionally, they kind of implied, as I already mentioned, that there's now some kind of feud between Bucky and Sam, which I don't really like because it was implied. The end credit scene is 14 months after the movie Thunderbolts, and it is implied that Sam wants to rebuild the Avengers. I don't know if I've already mentioned that. Anyways, it is mentioned that he wants to rebuild the Avengers, and there's the complication because they're called the New Avengers, and he wants the name, and there is like a lawsuit or I don't know, copyright strike because they have used the name New Avengers, but Sam wants to use it for his. I know it's supposed to be a gag, but I don't know. It kind of didn't really fit into the situation. I don't want to complain, it's kind of luxury problems that I have right here, but I don't know. I don't know. I didn't really like it, but again, let's see what they make of it. Okay, I don't want to judge before I've seen the whole picture. And I was way excited when I saw the Fantastic Four ship entering this dimension at the end. I did not completely hit my best friend. If you wake up with a blue arm, I'm so incredibly sorry. You wanted to sit next to me, actually, so that one's on you. Not that I'm trying to blame the victim, but oh my god, what am I saying? So, I don't know what to talk about now. I will remember new things. I will go to bed now, and then every singular minute there will be a new thing in my mind that I wanted to talk about, but I didn't talk about it, and I'm gonna feel horrendous about it. But I can just write it in the comments. I can just write it in the comments. Or you will see just me off screen suddenly talking about it and just adding myself into this video, so maybe we'll see that too. Hi, it's me with shitty mic quality, but I additionally want to talk about the fact that, first of all, Yelena was looking good in this movie, and second of all, I'm so happy that they didn't give her a love interest, because it was heavily implied by Stanley and in the comics that she's AroAce, and to not give her a love interest is just... And her platonic relationship, which I assume it is, with Bob was super cute. I loved it. Chef's kiss, that's all. So yeah, it was May 1st when I've seen Thunderbolts. Right now it's May 2nd because it's 2 a.m. Oh my god. And I've really seen one of the first screenings in my country, but I've seen it in English because... And I do hope that you watch the movie, because overall I can only say I really loved this movie. Marvel is fucking back. And it was really cool to see another movie next to Captain America that doesn't tackle the multiverse too much. It was a nice, cool breeze, you know, to let us calm down a bit before the next Avenger. Oh, additionally, I remembered something. I want to mention that in the comics, Sentry is easily manipulative. You can manipulate him easily. And in the end of Thunderbolts, he mentions that he can't use his powers because he's not Sentry, he's Bob. And if he was to use his powers, he would turn back into Sentry, which, you know, they're two different people. I said what I said. And my friend is sending me Thunderbolt TikToks right now. Thank you, love you. What did I want to talk about? I lost my train of thoughts. Trail? Is it trail or train? Oh my god. Ah yes, I wanted to say, in the comics, Sentry and Doctor Doom work together at some point, even if it was just a short period, but in some way they work together, and I think that Bob will be important for the future, because I do predict that Doctor Doom will trigger the Sentry in Bob. You know, he will manipulate Bob and pull him onto his side, and trigger the Sentry in him, because in the comics, Sentry is one of the most powerful characters you will ever see, and to have him on your side or work for you because you can easily manipulate him. My English. That's actually my prediction, because the Fantastic Four are now in the dimension in the 616 universe where Bob is in. And if the Fantastic Four are now in the 616 universe, there's a high possibility that Doctor Doom will follow them into the 616. So he has an easy chance to manipulate Bob. Why do I have such a struggle with that word? But yes, that's been my thoughts. I think this is my actual outro now. So yes, if you have seen the movie, please tell me how you liked it, because I freaking loved it, okay? It was a good movie. Mwah. Loved it. I gave it 5 stars on Letterboxd. Maybe on a bad day, I would give it 4.5 because I really don't understand the plot of the Taskmaster being there for 2 minutes before actually being killed off for nothing. But I have a good day today, so I will give it 5 days, 5 stars. So yes, tell me how you like Thunderbolts. Maybe you didn't like it. Tell me why if you didn't like it. If you have any other points that you really want to mention about the movie or anything else, write it down, please. Okay, I love to talk about shit like this. Even if you have a different opinion than me, write it down. It's okay. I wanna understand why you have a different opinion. So if you've watched this video, thank you very much. If you've left a like, thank you very much. If you have left a subscription, thank you very much, cool person. So yes, it's 2 a.m. I'm really tired. Thank you for watching. Thunderbolts was great.